Hi everyone, welcome to Here We Are, Brattleboro's community talk show. I'm Wendy O'Connell, and our guest today is Kora Skeele. After college, traveling, and starting a family in Dover, Kora returned to the Putney area. She created her own business, Viewpoint Consulting, and has been a dynamic community advocate and organizer. In 2024, Kora received the Emerging Leader Award from Southern Vermont and Shires Young Professionals, and also Vermont Business Magazine's Rising Star Award. That was in 2024 for both of those awards. She's currently the Director of Community for Shock, a nonprofit tech startup that is developing an app called Bee, that's B-E-E, a discovery tool where people in the community can engage and connect, matching folks with local activities and volunteer opportunities. Kora's going to tell us all about that. Hi, Kora.
Hi, Wendy.
Great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, yeah, we have questions for you, especially about your new endeavor. But going back a bit, we talked the other day, and you're one of the lucky kids who got to go to the West School with Claire Oglesby as a teacher, who is so well known. She even has a documentary film about her.
Yes, she is a legend, absolutely. I was there first grade through fourth grade.
It just sounded like a really wonderful foundation.
Yeah, it was really great, and it really was so integrated within the Westminster West community. So there were just I also feel like when I was there, it was really a heyday of Westminster West in a lot of ways. There were a lot of families, there were a lot of kids there, and the friendships that I made there have lasted, and also just like the relationships with those adults. I mean, I guess I'm an adult, but actual adults has also continued in ways that I think are pretty uncommon.
You did mention middle school age, and having Putney as sort of your center, the community center, going to dances and all the awkwardness that ensues with that age.
Yeah, that was really great too. So I went to the grammar school immediately following Westminster West School. And it was great because a lot of my Westminster West peers ended up either at the grammar school or Hilltop for that 2-year sort of middle school age, because we have a voucher program in Westminster West. So I was able to sort of continue my relationships with a lot of those kids, and then also build a network in Putney, have friends and adults, and just become a part of that community. Yeah. And the community dances, those were key. They were so good.
I think they were key for all of us. Your mom and dad worked at Greenwood. Your mom had a great performance group with Annie Freilich, the Annies. Yeah. So there's a lot of art and writing and music and performance in your family at that time. Were you part of that?
Yeah, so I was definitely involved with the Annies from probably the time I was like 5 years old. The sort of origin story of the Annies was that I think that Annie, I don't know if it was my birthday party or if we went to somebody else's birthday party and just Annie Freilich was performing. And my mom just felt this sort of immediate draw to her and was like, oh, can we do this together? I think that's the origin story. She might correct me on that. But from my memory, as soon as they started doing that together, I was a part of it, and I would be a part of rehearsals, which were always really sort of above and beyond the level of hilarity that ensued in the actual shows. The rehearsals were just like so much, I don't know, they were wild. It was really fun. It was a really cool thing to be a part of as a kid. It was cool to sort of like watch this local sort of phenomenon of local celebrity around my mom as a kid growing up.
She was welcomed wherever she went.
She was, and like little
really
kids would run up to her in the grocery store, and it was really unique part of my childhood.
That's very cool. So you go through school, and what were you studying when you were at Putney School? Or what were you really drawn to during that time?
Well, I was really drawn to U.S. history. My teacher, Kristen Dolly, was just really fantastic. In a lot of ways, that class was much more of sort of like a lecture style, sort of college seminar style class, which I really loved. So that was sort of the beginning of my interest in political systems. And then I also very distinctly remember loving an anatomy and physiology course that I took there. And then outside of academics, I was really involved with the barn, the theater program, and the sports program.
At Putney School, So a lot of that is carried through for you.
Yeah.
love of sports, and you studied, in college, you studied government and psychology,
Yeah.
which really go together really well, right?
Yeah.
Especially these days. Yeah. Yeah.
There were specific things that I was drawn to and always interest in how that influenced like current systems. I was interested in systems, I think, ultimately. And, and my experiences at Putney, my academic experiences helped sort of guide that interest in systems towards sort of systems of government and politics. And then when I was in college, actually, I had to take a developmental psych course as part of my distribution requirements for my liberal arts degree. And I mean, basically day one, I was like, I need to keep studying this. I absolutely loved it. But that's systems in a different way, right?
Yeah,
It's like, so sort of broadly, I like to look at sort of the big picture of things and understand how they're structured.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Well, it also goes into things that you did after college as well. But going back to Cornell, you did some jazz singing and some boxing.
I did.
I like that.
I did. I actually started boxing when I was 13 with my friend Molly Strauss.
Oh, yeah.
She and I would box together on Thursdays in the gym at Putney School.
Yeah.
I guess maybe we did that in 7th and 8th grade. It might have been 12 and 13.
Wow.
Which was then just above the cow barn.
So it was boxing. It wasn't kickboxing.
No, it was boxing.
It was real
It was like, and it's crazy. The muscle memory is insane. I still will remember
Interesting. Yeah.
combinations.
Yeah.
And then in college, I joined the boxing club.
Yeah.
Also.
So actually,
classes.
it was before you ended up at Cornell, you did some traveling right after high school.
Yes.
At 18, you kind of went out on your own.
I was accepted to Cornell as a guaranteed transfer, so I was accepted as a sophomore. So I knew that I was accepted sophomore year, but they do a program due to high attrition rates and freshman housing challenges that I think they've maybe remedied since then. But they do this thing where they accept you as a sophomore. So I planned to go to University of Vermont for my first year, then to Cornell, which is where my grandfather went to Cornell. And I decided to defer all of that a year. And I got a 60-day Greyhound bus pass. That was like the first thing. So right after my 18th birthday, I left on this bus adventure.
On your own? On
my own, yep. And I met up with my friend Zach in Minneapolis partway through. And then, it was wild. But it was awesome. It was super great.
Yeah.
It was really fun. We went skydiving and hitchhiking and
really
camping and
wow.
It was great.
And then you went to India?
And then I went to India, so then I came back, and then in March I went to India, which was also absolutely incredible. And I was there for 3 months. And it was really great. It was really like I was really sort of left to my own devices in a way that I think was really important. And kudos to my parents for kind of just letting it happen. Because it was really magical. I met a lot of really incredible people and had experiences that would not have been a part of something more curated.
Yeah. Well, and the places you went, like, so you do the U.S., you do India, you come back and you do Alaska. So were there particular things in those areas that you were drawn to?
So I think the bus trip was very sort of Kerouacian in terms of its inspiration. Like I was kind of reading those guys my senior year of high school. And I wanted to do a train trip, but you just can't do that in this country. It's just, and in some ways, honestly, like the bus was, it was gritty and it was interesting. And I'm really glad that I did it that way. And then India, I've wanted to go to India since probably the first time I stepped into Adivasi when it was on Flat Street.
Right.
That was like one of my sort of magic places as a kid. So I would go in there and I would just, there was like a little platform with carpeting and I would just tuck into where the clothes were hanging down. And like, I loved it.
And the smell.
The smell. God. I'm wearing this ring. It's a ring that my dad got me from Adivasi years ago. But yeah, so since however young I was when I first walked in there, and I ended up connecting with Jim Levinson, who was the rabbi for Jewish area or Brattleboro area Jewish community, when I was bat mitzvahed there, had told us about his son, Noah Levinson, who at that point was doing a mobile health clinic in the suburbs of Kolkata. And at the time when I ended up in India, he had sort of settled into a specific community in the outskirts of Kolkata called Fikir Bagan. So it wasn't mobile anymore, and it was much more on like nutrition and sort of preventive health care, but really in terms of nutrition and community support and that sort of thing. So that was sort of my connection in India, but the drive to go there was way earlier.
Yeah.
And then in Alaska, my dad's brother and his family live in Alaska. So I went and I worked on a commercial fishing boat for a summer.
Wow. Those are three so totally different things going on.
Yes.
Yeah. And taking a lot of stamina, I would think, to be on a fishing boat. Did the boxing strength thing come in handy?
Yeah. No, I mean, I was really sore for most of the time. And I came back and I had this muscle, I had this like Popeye bulge. And then this muscle right here from holding the knife to gut salmon all day was like, I mean, it was nuts. It was really, really strong. Yeah.
So all of these things, Kora, there's so many influences that you had, up until probably 19 when you went back to Cornell. Was there a cohesive thing for you in terms of what you were, not only the influences, but what you were looking for, say, or what you were interested in pursuing?
I don't know. I think I've always struggled with my inability as a human being to do everything all at the same time. So I think that is sort of reflected in a lot of the interests that I pursued because I wanted to try them all and do them all. So I think, certainly like influence from my parents in the arts, and also that was aligned with what I was sort of naturally good at. Like I love building relationships. I love communicating with people. I, like being on stage. Like I'm not afraid to sort of be on stage and be in front of people. Yeah. So all of that certainly influenced my interests. My dad has always been like a really avid reader. So a lot of the beginnings of, my interest in history and political systems and all these things was definitely encouraged by him. Maybe not deliberately, but just in terms of that was where our conversations would go.
It's really interesting to talk to you and see all of these influences. And then how did you end up in business? And because you were doing sales and marketing, managing, account executive, customer service manager, all the different aspects of business.
Yeah. I ended up in marketing because I had a fiance and baby. And we were, we had a house in Dover. My now husband had a house in Dover. And so when I graduated, my son was a little over a year and a half. We were getting married that August, and I needed to find a job in this area that felt like it had, like a certain momentum. And I've always been very driven. I don't necessarily know what I'm driving towards, but I've always wanted to sort of be doing something that felt sort of somewhat expansive and where there was a lot of opportunity. So I sort of looked for something that checked those boxes and ended up in marketing because of that largely, and the account management was like, okay, well, I'm great at building, like, I like building relationships. I like connecting with people. Those are skills that I already have. So like, I can sort of learn the rest. And after that initial account management job, I worked on other marketing teams because again, that was what I sort of stumbled into career-wise. The soft skills that I built were a good fit for marketing. And then when I decided to start Viewpoint Consulting, that was really about wanting to sort of I guess recognizing that account management, while there's a lot that I was really good at, there's also a lot that I was really not good at. And it was really hard every day to be trying to get good at the things that my brain was not very good at. So like a lot of the executive function tasks and scheduling and meetings and all these things are just like, my ADHD brain doesn't do those super well. And it's kind of demoralizing to spend every day doing something that's really hard for you. So I was really interested in, again, sort of systems, right? Like I was really interested in marketing strategy. And I wanted to support small businesses because I was really passionate about small business and the small business community in the area. And so that was when I started Viewpoint Consulting, which was I was doing marketing consulting for small businesses. And at that time, we also were building our house. And that really needed to be project managed. So it was good timing for me to step away from my 9 to 5 with a lot of support from my boss at the time, which was great. And you
did some cool things. You did some work for Mondo Media Works locally.
Right? So that was my first job out of college. I was 24, almost 24, but
you were brand strategist for Becca Balance campaign.
Very
cool.
Sort of. I mean, yes. Early on. This was the most ridiculously magical thing. This was early days. Late fall 2019 was when I first started talking with Becca. And fun fact, she was my husband's 7th grade teacher at Marlboro.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, of course. She taught history.
I really wish that I could have stayed on that campaign and continued to be a big part of that campaign, but I had no childcare.
Right.
I was bartending at the time. That's another piece of my history that started when I was 19 at Flat Street Brew Pub.
For relationships and socializing. Yes, absolutely.
Actually, Will Bissonette, who was the manager at Flat Street Brew Pub, married me and my husband.
Oh, nice.
He's great. Anyway, and I could not give it the attention that I wanted to. I had 2 little kids. We were trying to finish our house, do a bunch of updates on our house so we could sell it. And but I did send out a survey. I created this branding survey and sent it out to a bunch of people that Becca wanted me to connect with, whose opinions she really valued. And that was the sort of basis for the visual branding for her campaign.
She had a good visual branding.
She did, and that was really great graphic designer. Harrison Johnson.
So, Kora, you're in the Putney area. You got these awards for community leadership and all of the things that you've done for community. You've been the list of things that you've been on. The Putney Central School grant that you've worked on in various ways. The community suppers, which Putney's becoming known for. You've been a soccer coach and a mentor. The Downtown Revitalization Task Force, which was a thing that happened a few years ago, I went to those meetings, which were so fabulous and immersive in the community. And we got to vote with stickers on the wall. It was amazing. It was so cool, which is still going on. The Discover Putney Board, which is sort of aligned with that. And Next Stage Arts, you've done some marketing and communications with them. So all of those things, and I know there are more, have really brought you into the community as a real force. And again, I've mentioned this a lot lately on the show, so many folks your age are getting involved in the communities and really becoming your own selves there, and also a big part of the community, a driving force of having all this stuff happening for the community. So could you talk a little bit about that? I know it's something that has been in you and that you've been attracted to, but to be able to realize it, to manifest it like this.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I sort of understood that the community I grew up in Westminster West, and that feeling of community, which also, even before I was at the grammar school, one of my best friends lived in Putney, Katie Schwartz, and I would spend a lot of time at the Putney pool and at the general store and wandering around Putney during the summers, even before I was at the grammar school. And I think that it was like, I don't know, maybe my junior year of college that I finally figured out that this like bereft feeling I had was lack of community. And like I had friends, but I wasn't, I wasn't like on the hockey team. I wasn't living in any of the sort of, eco co-ops at Cornell, I didn't have that immersive sense of community that I had grown up with. And realizing sort of what the absence of that felt like, and that feeling I had was connected to community was a big moment for me. And that was always what I wished for when I thought about moving back to Putney. And I always knew that I would come back to this area because I just had such an exceptional childhood here, you know, and it feels like it's a big part of me.
Yeah.
But, you know, Dover was great. We had family there. It was wonderful, but it's very spread out.
Yeah.
It's very transient. And if you don't sort of establish yourself in some niche of that community, it can feel hard. And especially having, you know, my parents just close enough that it felt like I could go visit. And I just sort of felt stretched between these different communities. And so we talked a lot about whether we were going to stay there or move back to Putney. And it was just kind of a like cross your fingers that the sense of community that we anticipate in Putney is really there. And I think that part of my throwing myself in the way that I did was like, okay, well, I'm not just going to cross my fingers. Like, I'm going to create it. And it was there no matter what, you know, it was there. I did feel that. And I totally overcommitted, I'll say too. I mean, I was completely burnt out and it took a while for me to find what worked for me.
Well, you know, that list I ran off, it's like there's so many facets to each one of those. You mentioned the food shelf, you know, you were at the food shelf today. So there's so many things going on that, yes, you could spread yourself thin. So let's talk a little bit about Shock and Be.
Yeah.
And this is a whole new venture for you, right? So yeah, if you can describe it for us, give us a snapshot of what it is.
Yeah. So I started working for them as a consultant in like a year ago, this month, I guess, actually. And then in June, I started working for them full time, and I am sunsetting Viewpoint Consulting this month, which is great. I needed that time to figure out what I was good at and lean into that instead of trying to fix what I wasn't great at. But yeah, I mean, part of what was so exciting to me about the Be app in particular, which is the first product from this nonprofit tech startup, Shock, actually really related to this feeling of burnout that I experienced when I first moved back to Putney. Because the original concept was that it would make volunteerism a lot easier by creating essentially a catalog of volunteer opportunities in your community and a way to sign up in that moment for something really quickly and easily. But it also, in some ways, is sort of a paradigm shift because it's really focused on one-time volunteer opportunities and understanding that it's really hard when you join 3 boards or when you join another email list. And I have no idea what's going on because I am on too many email lists and I can't keep track of anything. So I had lived this like, oh, I want to be engaged, but I don't know how to do that in a way that really works with my life. And what I'd landed on in Putney was the community supper and coaching soccer. Yeah. And for me, those were 2 things that were incredibly tangible. I would look out. I mean, the community supper, it was like the commitment was really a monthly commitment. And then occasionally we would have meetings maybe 4 times a year or something. And, you know, being able to look out and sort of see the impact of what you were doing. And then same with coaching. It was a bigger time commitment, but it was like I was building relationships with these kids. I was watching them improve. I was watching them enjoy themselves. I was watching the parents on the sidelines have these fun conversations. And there was a tangible impact. And B was about making it easy, about creating opportunities that aren't such a heavy lift in terms of just the logistics of it. Creating tangible outcomes. Like all of these things that I'd been trying to figure out without really realizing it, I felt like were sort of crystallized in this project. And then Shock more broadly is really, it's this, you know, nonprofit community tech startup really focused on creating tech for good and recognizing that there are ways that technology can really support, you know, positive mental health outcomes and positive community outcomes, but not in the way that it's typically used. So like, how
Right.
can we sort of harness that
Yeah.
or co-opt that even for good?
Can you give an example of that, Kora? How someone would connect with that, with the B
Yeah.
app?
So on B, you could have, for instance, I haven't put this on yet, but I'm going to do, or I want to do, like stringing lights in downtown Putney.
Yeah.
And there are already a bunch of businesses that have that, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. But like Fellows Falls is so magical, right?
Yeah, it
Can
is.
we just like get a little slice of that in Putney? So that's something that it's not associated with an organization. It's just me.
Yeah.
And I'm a host on the B app. And I need people to help do that because it's a huge undertaking. But I'm going to put that on the B app and say, hey, I'm doing this on probably next weekend. Please RSVP here. And then you could just click join and then add to calendar and it'll go right to your phone.
Okay, so
calendar.
who's on the app now? Do you have enough people on the app so that they will do that?
We don't. So that's what we're building right now.
Okay.
So in this example, I'm going to print out flyers with a QR code to the app.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So that's a way of building that community, right? Okay.
Right. And the idea is that if it's on the app, it's the other thing is that it's not a forum. The app is not a place to communicate online. It is a discovery tool, and then you can also take the action of signing up once you've made the discovery. So
see.
that's like convenience, right? You can have it all in one place.
Yeah. So it's a resource that people can go to.
Exactly.
And they can scroll and they can find what's available that they could hook into.
Right. And it's location based. So the first view is a map, and it's I can't remember if it's a 10. I can't remember what the automatic radius is, but you can sort of expand or contract that and see different options on the map. So yeah. And yeah, we're in the process of expanding that. We're really focusing on like Putney and surrounding areas because I'm in Putney. It makes sense for that to be sort of the center, and then the Mad River Valley in northern Vermont and surrounding areas.
Why those two in particular?
Mad River Valley, because we had a summit last May, and somebody from the planning district was super excited and enthusiastic. This guy, Josh Schwartz, and he's just a wonderful person, and Sam Robbins. And they were just incredibly enthusiastic. And we were like, yes, this is the energy we're looking for.
Right.
Absolutely. They're a really tight-knit community as well. And Putney, because I'm here. And because
you're here.
It's such a moment, too. There's like a moment in
Yeah.
Putney right now.
I think so too. And I think that there is a critical mass of different kinds of energies, not only coming together, but taking the reins of taking responsibility and getting on board. Also, I think the numbers, the size of the community, like you're dealing 5,000 people, give or take, in an area that can coalesce. And everybody kind of has to go through Putney, to get anywhere. So you're dealing with a community that is engaged and wants to probably be more engaged. So that's what you're offering to them. And you're getting the word out in different ways. You're getting in touch with organizations in Putney as well to be on board.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get any upcoming activities. I mean, what is sort of eligible as a B activity is a volunteer opportunity. Right now, we only can do one time, or I mean, they can be recurring, but it's not like sign up for the board for whatever.
Right,
it's like
right.
we have this one thing that we need help with. It could be there's this one thing that we're doing, every week or every month.
Yeah.
But currently that's one option. It can be any community engagement event as long as it's free. So it's really about events that are welcoming to everybody and focused on engagement, right? Like focused on being with your neighbors.
And so it's a nonprofit, so you're getting grants to support this?
So right now it is solely founder funded. Our founder and funder, but founder Saul is in his early 30s. He grew up in northern Vermont. He moved out to San Diego and built and sold a tech company during the pandemic, which also really was very philanthropic in a lot of ways. It was like expanding access to computer science training and coding training for students. And he stayed out there for a while and decided that, he wanted to sort of start something to really use his powers for good, essentially.
Of community and local. local power,
local
and
power,
strength.
and really felt this pull back to Vermont. And so, currently it's founder funded. We have a couple of different plans that will push forward in conjunction with each other to diversify our funding streams.
Right. So we're going to keep our eye on this, Kora. We are going to look out for what you're doing with this, and the information will be at the end of the show of how to get in touch with you.
Great.
Yes, as well as that. One thing that you did say is that and I don't know at what point this was in your life, finding out what you're good at, what your strengths are, and feeling that right now you feel most aligned with your career and what the rest of your life is bringing you.
Yeah, that's been like a really incredible gift over the last several years. That was really, I needed to start Viewpoint Consulting in order to sort of have the space to explore that. And I read a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks that was really helped me understand this idea of like, instead of focusing on the things that you think you need to improve, like figure out what it is you're good at, and it's probably something that you don't think matters because it comes easily to you.
Yeah, good point.
And so that was really huge. And also, I am a later diagnosis ADHD woman. And so I had to sort of figure out a lot of stuff around that too. And that really gave me the space to do that. And I don't think that I would have been ready for this job pre that sort of reflection.
Right, and you created all kinds of workarounds, I'm sure, as everybody does with that. Yeah, which gives you strength as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it has been really important to sort of figure out like, oh, these are my strengths. And it doesn't mean that I can't practice the things that I'm not great at and get better.
Right.
But I'm not going to sort of like measure my value by those things. And I'm not going to put myself in a position where that is my focus every day, all day, every day.
Really great to realize this at the age of 34, instead of like 64, right? Or later. Kora, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
This is great.
Has been great.
A great bunch of information. Really interesting to hear about your life and the things that you've done, and the hometown feeling, that you still carry with you.
Love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thanks to all of you for joining us today and listening to Kora and her stories and the things she's doing. And again, all of these people who are really strengthening our communities. It is so grassroots around here. It's people who are right here day by day doing things that make us stronger and more cohesive and more of a community. So thank you. We'll see you next time.